People of the internet, welcome to Atheist Edge. Let me check this audio so I make sure I fix that right. Yeah, that's good. Hey, everybody. Welcome to everybody in the chat. I see GG's here, Titan Uranus, and Purple Rhymes with Orange. Thank you all so much for being here. Emmanuel, can you hear me? We didn't have time to do a sound check. Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Awesome. Great. Okay, so Emmanuel contacted me on Facebook not too long ago, and he wants to discuss his beliefs. Can you say something else, Emmanuel? I thought I missed something you said. Are you there? Did I miss something you said? Hello? Not good. Not good. Emmanuel, can you hear me? Please say something. I did put the link to the studio in the description if anybody else wants to join, just in case this isn't working out too good. I understand that Emmanuel is in West Africa right now, and I'm not sure what his connection situation is like, but we are very far away from each other. And then he popped out. So how you guys been? What's going on? Let's see. Anybody saying anything? Maybe if we pray. Yeah, right. Maybe if we pray, he'll be able to pop in here. Let me check see if he's chatting me. What happened? So, just so you guys know what's been going on with me, I have been working on this debate review format that I've been working on for forever, and it's been a hectic situation. I've had to restart it a couple times just because, well, one time it was because I had to reboot my entire computer from scratch, and the next time it was because I didn't like what I had done. Here he's back. So, Emmanuel, can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, great. I can hear you. So let's just go ahead and jump into it. You believe in God. I don't. You think I'm wrong, right?
Yes. Yes.
All right. Convince me. Why should I believe in God?
First, if we actually look at, the universe, life, consciousness of humans, the difference, the complexity, and all these things, normally in terms of logic, it don't look like things that came out of nothing. That's the first point.
I'm sorry. You were breaking up a little bit. Can you say that one more time? I also had to
Okay,
turn your
what I
volume
meant
up.
is, okay, what I'm just trying to say is, if we look at, life, the system, the orderliness, the difference in different things, they don't match up to the fact that we all came from a tiny thing or we all came from nothing. So that's just what I'm trying to say, that when it comes to life, the beginning of a thing, the beginning of something cannot be the cause of nothing. I hope you get what I'm saying.
I'm 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 just trying to decide what I want to do because of the issues in the audio.
Oh,
It's not going to make for a very good show. Um, I am making out what you're saying. It sounds like you're saying that something can't come from nothing, and I don't really have a problem with that. It just depends on what your definition of nothing is. I don't believe that
okay.
everything came from nothing. I think that everything came from potential energy.
Oh, okay. Now, if we look at the side of energy itself, energy doesn't just start on its own at the same time. Or don't
Well,
you think?
energy is
Yes,
eternal, isn't it?
it's not actually eternal as they claim.
It's not. How do you know that?
Yes. Okay. Now, as normal as energy
Thank you,
is,
Maya.
yes, yes.
Yeah, keep going.
So now, okay, what I'm trying to say is, energy itself isn't something that could happen on its own. In the sense that when we say energy, the beginning of energy itself cannot be something that's being formed out of nothing. Now, if we look at a car, for instance, we have to put things in it. We have to put the fuel, the maybe water if necessary. And if we also look at electricity or in electric cars, there has to be battery, there has to be something that will power it to bring forth energy itself. If we also look at the sun, if we look at fire, if we look at every single thing that's considered to have energy, these things can never happen on its own.
Okay. You seem to be comparing the energy of a battery to the energy of the universe. Obviously, a
Exactly.
battery can't come into existence on its own, but energy itself, I believe, is eternal. I believe that's part of the laws of thermodynamics is that energy can neither be created nor destroyed. In my
You see,
opinion, and if anything can be eternal, if anything at all can be eternal, like God, then so can energy, right?
actually, God is actually different from these terms we use on earth, because as we know and as we've seen, time was created by this God. You know, the
I'm sorry, what
past,
time
the
was
future.
created? Did you say time was created?
Exactly. Why? Because when we talk about the term eternal, it means not ending, neither does it have a beginning, isn't it, sir?
Okay. Time was created by God, you're saying?
Yes.
So when did he decide to
So,
do that?
like for instance, when we look at the Bible and you know how we were told by these prophets of the old times, of the Old Testament, it is just clear that this world was created after a thing that happened in the realms of heaven, in the place where it is out of this world, out of the time on earth, out of everything we can think of, which is heaven, which is the place where God inhabits, which is the place where His glory fills. So that's what I'm just trying to say, that time doesn't work where God is. Like, since He created something, that thing shouldn't, be working with Him. Like, for instance, we also talk about the, material things in this world. They all have creators. They all have creators. In fact, the clock we use, the wristwatch, these things were built by people. So in the sense that even what they built, maybe time, maybe clocks, if these things are maintained very well, it will even grow, it will even get older than the person that built them. Because we cannot exceed our own time on earth.
Okay.
Another reason why.
Hold on, Emmanuel. Hold on. You're going too far. Let's back up just a little
Sorry.
bit. Okay. First of
Okay.
all, you said that energy was created by God and that time was created by God, right?
Exactly. Yes.
Okay. So at one point there was no energy, and then at another point there was energy.
Yes.
At one point there was no time, and another point there was time.
There was. Yes.
You see how there's a problem there?
It's not actually a problem. Just
It is.
understanding.
It's a huge problem. Hold on. It's not
Yeah.
possible, logically speaking, for there to be a time where there is no time, and then there to be a time. You
Okay.
understand? There
Now,
cannot be a moment of creation of time. That doesn't make sense.
okay. Now, as I said, this God we know, this God who we claim to build this universe, doesn't work with that time we claim we actually operate in on Earth. So, like, what I'm just trying to say is, being the creator of something actually means you know more than that thing, in a sense. It means that thing didn't begin before you, nor is it working with your system, nor is it working with how you move in life. So, which is God actually, and I'm just trying to say, on earth, and this life we live in at this moment wasn't just, didn't just happen, as we're trying to say.
Well,
And they
okay, so it
all,
didn't just happen. But why
yes.
do you think that God did it? Let's say that it couldn't just
Okay, now
happen. I agree that something can't come from nothing necessarily.
it's true.
Um, so, but why do you think it's God specifically? Why couldn't it be quantum fluctuation, the inevitable actualization of potential energy, um, a scaling universe, all these different things that they have? Why couldn't it be any of those, and not? Why does it have to be God? How do you know that it is God?
Okay, for instance, even this quantum stuff, scientists claim to understand.
Yeah. Forget all
Even
that stuff. Let's just forget it. Let's throw it all out the
yeah,
trash. It's all trash, right? Everything that the scientists say, everything that philosophers say, it's all trash. How do we? But you have a hypothesis, God. So let's just concentrate on that and only that.
all
Why
right,
do
all
I
right.
think that that's the truth?
Okay, now let's just try to come to the terms of biblical facts. Right now, we see in the beginning, as the Bible says, in the beginning, God created heaven and earth. And apart from that statement, there are other historical facts that can never be denied. And these things, they look true. Apart from being true, they are true. You understand? So if we believe something, we shouldn't just decide on what to believe and not to believe, because these all things are from a place. So when we also look at how the book is constructed, the stories it tells, the things we see ourselves, I mean, our personal selves, we should always, to us, we know these works, these miracles we see, they are not by ordinary means. They are not the works of this nature we live in. It is the work of an external being.
So it sounds to me like you're saying that the world is just too complicated to imagine that it happened by any other means than an intentional design.
Exactly, exactly, exactly. So, like,
Okay, so here's a
if
question for you. I have a question for you. Then. Is there anything that you can think of that has not been designed?
um, actually, I don't know. I don't think there is.
Okay, so everything in the universe, according to your worldview, even a turd, has been designed by God, right?
Yes, yes, and we should also look at the process of things with that.
Okay. So without any contrast, any juxtaposing thing to say, look, this is design and this is not design. So all of this is design. Where do you get that from? How can you say that this is designed, that everything is designed, and you have no idea what not design looks like? If
Okay, in
you've
terms
never
of logic.
seen not design, I feel like I'm not saying this,
Okay, now,
articulating this well enough, but I think I've said it enough times now.
all right. Now if you look at design, it's always beautiful. It's
Is it always
something.
beautiful? You've never seen an ugly design?
There is, but I'm just trying to make a point here, though. So what I'm
Yeah.
just
But the
saying
point
is,
is, the point stands on everything that you say. Every little part of what you say builds up the point that you're making. So the first point, that design
yes,
is beautiful, that's knocked down, right? Obviously, there's
all
designs that
right.
are not beautiful, and beauty is
Ali,
subjective.
yeah,
So what's the next point that says that something can be designed?
okay, okay. So when we look at the design of particular things, for instance, maybe a car or a bike or a wristwatch, we always find out that these designs went through a process, and then after the process, more processes came on. You understand? Now, For instance, the engine of vehicles, they were not created while it was working. They were created from scratch. So in the process of that, they were built, for instance, and again, after that process of building it, there's also one kind of process that they made that machine go through that will continue another process. If we also look at the weather, the seasons, how plants grow, how humans grow, how animals grow. Now, to me, God made this design for that design to continue in a particular process. If we look at skies, we always see clouds. If we look at the sun, we always feel heat. If we look at plants, we always see it grow. If we also look at animals, we see them grow. And if we look at humans in the general sense, we see them grow. So to me, to us, these things were built. So for a process to actually continue in a specific manner, in a specific orderliness, what I mean? So these things have to be built. They're not things that came together and decided this is how things should be. Do you understand? So if you look at this
I
simple
see. I
thing,
understand what you're saying. I think. Are you done? I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off. Are you done?
so like oh,
Are you ready for me to respond?
yes, go on.
Okay. So I obviously agree that there's lots of beauty in the world. Um, but like I said before, without the idea of a not design, I have no idea how you can tell that the rest of this is designed. I need that background concept before I can say that something is designed. The idea that everything is designed means nothing is designed, because it's just a meaningless phrase. Other than that, you were talking about the car, the process of making a car, and how we know who designed the first cars, right? We can look up their names in history books, and we can tell who those people are, or any of the other obviously designed things around us. And because of that, we look at the natural world and incorrectly reverse engineer that idea in our heads, because we're not recognizing that the people who designed these things were mimicking things in nature that they saw. The person who designed the airplane saw a bird's wing and figured out kind of how that works, and then designed something from there. So the design that we see in man-made things mimics the natural working order of things in nature. And because of that, you're seeing this, it's kind of an equivocation where you're backfilling that idea back onto nature. So again, I just want to ask, if you have no idea what not designed looks like, how can you tell that anything is designed?
It's like I don't really catch your question.
You only caught the question, you didn't catch the question.
Like I didn't really, catch it.
I just want to know, like, why do you think that this stuff is designed? Like a leaf or a turd. How can you, why do you think that a turd is designed?
Okay. No, let's
Okay,
let me
no.
just start with
Let's get more real than that. Let's get real. Okay, forget the monetization
okay.
crap, or whatever. No, I did monetize this video, but I'm gonna say fuck it. Did God design child molestation?
All right. Now, when we look at these bad things going on Earth right now, as I said, things were designed to proceed like nature itself. Now, at the beginning of creation, as we know it and as we believe, because of the love that God has, He provided, He gave us free will in the sense that what we do
Do animals
is
have free will?
actually in our hands.
Do animals
Yes.
have free will? Yes.
Like animals are different from humans, even though the scientists
Yeah,
say
they are
we're the
different,
same in a
but they are
way.
designed by God, right?
Yes, yes. So what I'm saying
They are
is,
certainly designed by God, right?
we humans,
Okay, so are you aware of how much rape happens in the animal kingdom?
no, we have to look at the reason though, not just point at the thing.
Okay, I want to know what the reason is that God's design requires so much unnecessary suffering for all the creatures, including humans, but especially the animals. There are creatures that regularly and habitually abuse their children sexually. Besides humans, humans, obviously that's horrible because we can consider it and we have the potential not to do that. But these animals, they're just doing that out of their programming, their instinct, the instinct that is hypothetically, according to you, designed by God. And I want to know why God would design that.
All right. As I said, humans and animals and insects and plants, we're all different. The process we go through, the kinds of life we live are all different in a very significant way. Now, humans, we were created with free will in the sense that we know what is right and we always know what is wrong. We know when to do things correctly and we know when we do things incorrectly. So these things
Why do you
were
think that that's the case?
imputed in
When there's so many people doing so many bad things all the time, like nonstop, why do you think that there are people why do you think that those people know what to do?
You see, as I said again, free will. It is not a thing, free will itself is like a thing though. It is something provided out of love. You understand? Now, if we look at what free will means, is actually a thing that when you think about it yourself, you decide it, you know which is wrong, which is right. Then you choose between each of the decisions you have to make. Now, for bad people, they know what is right and they know what is wrong. But personally, they choose to do wrong. So, and also for good guys, they know what is wrong, they know what is right, and they also chose to do the right thing.
Okay,
So
hold on.
not
Let
actually.
me prove that you're wrong. Let me prove that you're wrong right now. I can prove that you're wrong about that. Is it, according to the Bible,
Right.
is it a good thing that we should create artificial intelligence?
As I said, now in the Bible, it was written that humans would develop in technology, not actually in this kind of phrase, but will increase. There's a particular way it was written that humans specifically will increase in knowledge and understanding and craftiness and all that stuff. So out of this increase is actually where we have the artificial intelligence, the building of crazy things around. So it's still out of this increase.
So you're saying that it is good, according to the Bible?
Yes, yes, yes. It is a thing that has to happen.
And so all the concerns about the upsetting of our economic systems, the what is the word? Displacement of labor, the potential for global crashes that are the result of an intentional act by a sentient program. All these potentially catastrophic circumstances that we foresee because of artificial intelligence, those are just, you don't have to worry about them at all, basically, right?
It's not actually we don't have to worry about them. As normal as it sounds. When people gain more power, when people understand more things, when people know more about many things, there's a particular behavior that starts to develop, out of which pride comes out of which not caring about people comes out of it. So when you have more power, when you own more buildings, when you buy more things, when you get more rich and stuff, it's just one dark natural thing that occurs to humans. That when
I mean, it's
we
interesting that you
get
say that.
more,
It's just that I look at the last 100 years or so, right, since the Industrial Revolution and all the technological advancements that we made, and it all looks really good on paper. But when you think about the backdrop of climate change, when you think about all the destruction that we're doing to the environment, the exploitation of our fellow man for resources, is it really a good thing? I mean, is the car itself really a good thing? Is AI going to be a good thing? The cryptocurrency and artificial intelligence are going to rely on servers, which are going to require a lot more energy, which means constantly, farming for electricity and potentially keeping us addicted to fossil fuels for even longer. I don't think that there's a clear answer in any direction as far as artificial intelligence, but certainly not from the Bible. You quoted something. You didn't give me an exact scripture, obviously, but I mean, even if we grant for charity reasons that that is a
exactly.
scripture, it says that human knowledge will increase, and it just doesn't say anything about artificial intelligence. It's not really a response.
Okay, now we look at the age of how the Bible was written. It isn't a thing that we'll be writing down. There will be cars, there will be airplanes, there will be AI, but it was specific about the fact that we will surely increase in terms of knowledge, in terms of understanding of how this earth actually works. We will increase in those things, and out of those things is actually what made these airplanes, cars, AI, and stuff to come out from. So that's just the
But
aspect of that side of the Bible.
okay, I would like for you to, if you could, give me that scripture that you're talking about, just so I can know exactly the context that you're talking about. But I do think, as Gigi said in the chat, we do need to get back to the topic at hand. So, I mean, all that aside, I don't think I've heard any reason to believe that God is real. How did we get here? We talked about something coming from nothing,
All right.
energy. I don't know where we got to this point, but I still don't think that you've given me a name or an answer as to why God is real.
Well, I think we're talking about, the pattern of design and stuff.
Right. Yeah. So you believe that the universe is designed. Okay. So let's just for fun, let's grant that it is designed. Right. Still doesn't tell us that it's God. At least not your God. It could be an artificial intelligence God, some kind of universal program or whatever. So I mean, where do we go from there?
All right. Now, as I said at the beginning, this God we know, this God who the Bible describes, isn't a God that is limited, which means any extent is where it goes. Any time, I mean, out of time, actually. I'm just saying everything about this God we know is eternal, is limitless, and is just out of this world. So now you
These are
also
things that
look
people
at
say about the God, but we don't know any of those things, right? Because all we have about this God is a book
it's not
that
actually a
none of
book.
us wrote.
Okay, now like so now let's just look at sense actually. When we see things, not mental problems and stuff, no, but we experience some unnatural things, then it should also tell us we will experience it. It told us that we are not alone in nature, that we don't just live and die and that's all. So now there's what we understand to be spiritual, which is not like nature we have. So we also now let me just go back to this designing of nature itself. Um, for instance, if we look at the days, every day, you know, we all know 24 hours is actually the the time that counts in a single day. We also look at
It's not exactly 24 hours.
from home,
It's like 23 point something
yeah,
hours.
just approximation
It's not
and
the same
stuff,
every day, I think.
and possibly. So what I'm just saying is these cycles,
I mean, that's why we have leap
this
years, right? To correct for all these inconsistencies in our calendars and our clock systems, because we lose time because of our imperfect calculation, because things don't divide out perfectly. That's why leap years exist.
well, possibly. Well, actually,
No, definitely.
these
No,
things are
100%.
actually
100%. The day being 24 hours, the week being 7 days, the freaking
yes,
the year being
yes, yes.
365 days. None of this
Even
crap
though,
is
yeah,
exact. It's all just,
yes,
approximate, kind of
just
sort of good
approximation, yeah,
enough to keep us going.
yeah, yes. So you see, like this design again, nature actually has the way it moves, the way it continues. Now let's just start from these minute things, like the plants. We know that when a plant starts, actually, from seedlings, it goes on and on and on. And if it's a tree, it also goes as far as becoming a tree. And being a tree again, if it has to bear fruits, it will also bear fruits. And from there, continue and continue. So I'm just saying this kind of processes, this kind of orderliness in elements of life, in the things that goes on around, they are not,
I
they
mean,
don't look like.
I get it. Yeah. Life is an amazing thing. And I agree that there's a lot about this universe that you could mistake for designed because it looks like the things that we've designed, right? That's the thing. We design crap, and then we look at nature and we're like, oh, look at that. That's cool. I might have done something like that. I might have done something, a little spiral pattern, blah, 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 right? We are projecting our ability to design on nature. So I get it. It looks designed, but that's just because we design stuff. If we didn't design stuff, we wouldn't even know what that word means.
Okay, as the scientists actually, say things, they say the earth started, and I mean, like, no, look,
I mean,
let's look at what he said a little, huh? And then we
here's a
match it
perfect
up with
example.
what the
What do
Bible.
we call? What do you have you ever heard people refer to the inner workings of a cell as cellular machinery? Have you ever heard that term? Oh, he dipped out. Dang. Oh well. Maybe he'll pop back in. Oh, there he is. Oh wow, that was cool. You there?
Okay, yes.
I didn't even have to add you back into the studio. That was weird. Okay, so what was I going to say? Have you ever heard of somebody refer to the inner workings of a cell as cellular machinery?
No.
No, you never heard that term? Well, it's a common phrase. People use it a lot. And it's an example of us projecting our design capability onto nature, right? Calling it machinery. Machines don't exist in nature, right? It's not a machine,
Yes.
but we make the machines and it functions similar to what we made. So we projected that word onto it. We're calling it machinery.
Like that's just like a term used to actually define a process. So that's just a slightly different thing from what we're actually trying to pick, you know. So now
I'm sure.
again, yes.
Keep talking.
All right. Now moving on with design again. We should also look at things apart from plants. For instance, if we look at insects, if we look at the different types, probably species of a single one, if we start trying to, look at how these things were made, it will be difficult because we have flying ones. We have the ones that, move on the ground. We have the ones that stay in the trees, and all these things are just complex. Now, if we are now saying something happened, we can never get the answer to what actually happened. So when we look at a beetle, the difference of bees, the difference of ants and other things, the difference in those little things are so much, just very different, that we cannot bring these things together and just decide, oh well, these things came from one particular insect. When we also look at animals, if you look at the difference between a giraffe and a horse, a zebra, and maybe a crocodile, a fish, a normal sized fish, and a normal sized, probably a whale or a shark. These things don't even look like they came from a single thing. If they all came from a single thing, then they all have to be the same. If you also look at humans, we can see that
The single thing being
very
God, or the ants, or the what single thing are you talking about? Are you talking about God?
no, okay. What I'm just trying to say is these differences in what nature holds, what like the insects, the animals, the different types of animals. These two other things, other creatures are different from humans. So when we look at how different these tiny creatures are, the animals and the lions different from the tigers different from other kinds of animals like that. These things did not come from a single, maybe from just an animal, as we
Okay,
know.
but hold on. Do you know what DNA is?
Actually, yes.
Okay, so you know that every creature on Earth, including the plants, is just those four same chemicals, right? Adenine, thymine, guanine, and cytosine.
Oh, yes,
You know that, right?
but they're very different in a significant way too.
Yeah, they're
Like
very
the
different.
cells,
It's amazing how those four chemicals, arranged in all these different ways, can make all this different kind of life. But essentially,
right?
all life is only those four chemicals in different orders, and the same four chemicals.
Exactly. Exactly.
So I mean,
So,
that seems to suggest that it all came from the same place.
all right, if we also look at these same four chemicals, is it possible to explain where they actually came from?
Is it possible to explain where they came from? I believe it is possible. I don't think that the
But how?
actual correct answer is available at this time.
It cannot.
But that doesn't mean it's not
So,
possible. I mean, there's plenty of research in abiogenesis that gives us plenty of inferential evidence as to how life can start on its own. We have so many different
right.
ways that life could have started on its own that we can't pick which one was the right one.
That's exactly the problem right there. Contradictions can now make a thing right.
I'm sorry?
So we have a sin. I mean, what I'm just trying to say is contradictions in the explanations of how life came to life. is actually going to, destroy itself. Like when a particular scientist discovers a thing and another thing and different other kinds of theories and you know made up things, or in fact imaginations in some cases, when they're trying to bring a point out concerning life and how it started, it can't really go together. For instance,
Okay, hold on. I have a question from the chat. Gg asks to ask you if you have any actual evidence or paper or any real support instead of just ideas and arguments. Is there anything in the universe that you can point to and say, look, that's proof that there's God?
all right. So for now, as we explain who God is, and as we explain who or what life is, they're actually different. Like I said, we know and we've understood that this God we talk about doesn't work like time, nor does it work in
I don't know
time.
that. You said
So
that,
we,
and I already argued that I can't accept that.
all right.
I can't
So
accept a God that exists
anyways,
outside of time. That's not possible.
okay,
I don't believe in any. I don't
okay.
believe that it is physically, logically possible
So
that
actually,
anything could be outside of time.
all right. So that's just what I'm trying to say, that um life on its own has to have something that triggers it to come to existence. So and we cannot prove everything. Like I say to people sometimes, I'll just ask them, all right, you want me to prove something else which is actually not between you and me? It's not possible in that sense. But I can show
Yeah,
you
I know.
evidence. Now, exactly. Now, if it is between you and me now, I can prove to you I'm a strong guy. And you can prove to me you're a strong person too, right?
I can prove to you what?
That's an instance. What I'm trying to say is that between two people, there is proof. There can be proof. But between an external party or a third party, there cannot be proof of a thing, but there can be evidence of that thing.
All I need to believe in God is an objectively verifiable miracle. Anything that cannot happen according to the laws of physics happening, and then the God
There's
taking
plenty of it.
credit for it, and then other people seeing it besides me.
Okay, so like I'm very sure you know what miracles are.
So people have lots of different ideas about miracles. I don't know what your definition is, but when people say something like a baby being born is a miracle, that's just ridiculous because babies are born every 5 seconds. Or,
That's
I don't know the
dangerous.
exact timing, but it's there's tons of babies born all the time. That's not a miracle. A miracle is something that cannot happen, that happens because God made it
Okay,
happen.
okay, okay. So we look at nature and other kind of things that it's actually mean, like the laws of nature. For instance, we know that when a creature dies, it actually ends at that moment for that thing, right?
When a creature dies, something about the moment. I'm sorry.
So, like
Sorry, I'm doing a lot of
what
like
I'm saying
inferring
is,
the missing words. I'm just
in the
sorry. Go ahead.
laws of nature, we know generally that when a creature dies, like a living being or an animal, it actually ends at that moment. So a miracle is just when something which works out of the natural laws comes to life. So miracles are just different from this kind of perspective of this um, natural thinking and reasoning.
Wait, are you saying
So
that miracles are things that happen because of natural laws, or without natural laws.
Without natural laws.
Yeah, totally. That's exactly what I'm saying.
Okay. So like babies being born, the multiplication of stuff are all laws of nature. Now, what is in the law of nature is when, for instance, a barren woman, possibly something went wrong, whereby the doctors and those people say that this particular woman cannot give birth. So that is nature. That is just natural on its own.
Okay, but
Now,
hold on.
miracles.
I was in the medical field for a very long time. A doctor telling you that you can't get pregnant it's an educated inference, right? But it's not a fact. It's not a fact of nature. Just because a doctor looks at a woman's reproductive system and says, "I don't see a way where a healthy baby can be born," doesn't mean that they're right. I mean, and they will tell you that too. They're not going to give you absolutes. They're not going to say, "Hey, you definitely cannot have a baby." They're going to say, "There's a very low likelihood. There's a almost zero chance." They're going to give you the proper caveats when they give you that kind of thing. Now, of course, if you were living back in let's say Abraham's day, where the person who's telling her that she can't have a baby is some soothsayer or medicine person or whatever, then of course that's going to be even less reliable.
So
right?
anyways,
So I mean, the fact that people were born in the Bible stories that were supposedly of barren mothers, that doesn't mean that it's true. That could totally be wrong. And even if it was true that they were barren, that's not a scientific thing. This is not the laws of nature. This is medicine. Medicine is not an exact science. It tries to be, and it's working hard to be, but we're not there yet.
Well, your point is actually, real, but at the same time, we know, like, with an honest reasoning, barren people, naturally, or old people, women who are very old, it's a thing of cannot.
They don't usually. When we're talking about medicine, when we're making any kind of statements about laws or generalizations, we should always have the caveats of like usually, mostly, almost all. If you hear a person that's making a statement with the word always or never, they're lying.
Not always, though. Okay. Like, like in the world we are today, we have people who came back to life, or you don't believe that? Do you?
I'm sorry?
I mean, in the world we are today, have you heard of people who actually came back to life after maybe they thought that the death?
In the real world, I've heard of people whose hearts have stopped. I've heard of people who've been declared dead, but death is not a solid line. Like, and it never has been. We're drawing that line as it's really based on how capable are we of bringing you back, more than are we sure that you can't 100%.
Well, you see, these terms nature uses, like we use in terms of referring to nature. So, like resurrection, these things are not the laws of nature. The dead coming back to life, people, it's
okay.
Serious.
Hold on. Because you must know that in the Bible times, life, it's in the Bible over and over again. The breath of life, pneuma, right? Their whole idea of living, of being alive, was about breathing. If you stop breathing, they were going to bury you. You realize that, right?
Not really, though.
No, really, it's in the Bible. Look it up. They don't talk about brain waves. They don't talk about heartbeat. They don't talk about hemodynamics or hemostasis. They just talk about breathing, because that's all they knew. So I believe that there were tons of people who died under that definition who came back to life. I'm sure of it.
Reasonability. what I'm just saying is like normally when a person die, it's just in the sense to actually wait for some time to see what will happen. So, when time moves,
Yeah, that's
when
why they
there are
had that
lots
three
of
days rule. That's why Judaism has that 3 days rule about being buried after the third day. Somebody double check me if that's the
so
third day or some other day, but
exactly.
it's more
So
than one day.
out of that, it means there are also people where like in terms of nature, when a person dies, when you stop breathing, when you stop moving, when the environment doesn't have an effect on your consciousness, definitely without being rude, without trying to change things, normally the person is dead. And when people come back to life and then it shocks people, this isn't the work of nature. The laws of nature is, when you start breathing, when consciousness is no more, when the environment doesn't change anything in you or outside of you in a particular way, therefore that creature is dead. Therefore, there's no more life in that thing. So it is very clear. That's just how things are. So on the other side, where people come back to life, isn't a thing which just wipe off with less understanding about the natural way life works. So death is actually a thing, and life is a thing. It's another thing on its own. And these are very different aspects. So one is, the end of a particular thing, and the other is the beginning of a new thing. So that's just
Oh, wait, hold on one second. I just want to
that
address something
about
I saw
that.
in the chat. Hold on one second. I'm sorry. I just want to interrupt you for a second. Let me see what they said. It was from Rebuke and Reprove. They were saying that the breath is only mentioned as for Adam. I will refer you to Ecclesiastes 12:7, where they say that the spirit returns to God. The word spirit is actually pneuma, breath. Thank you. Bye. All right. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Sorry, I didn't really catch everything you said.
I was letting the chat know something. I was reinforcing my point that the word spirit in the Bible is actually the word for breath, because that's what they believed, that breathing was life.
Spirits on normal notes isn't always equal to life.
Yeah,
Life
I'm sure breathing is
is
part of life. Respiration is definitely a part of life, but it's not all of life. And
so
there are
okay.
creatures that are
Okay.
anaerobic.
So
Anaerobic creatures do not
okay.
need
Now
lots of
let's
oxygen.
let's let's look at the Bible. We should understand this context, the content and the context of the Bible, not things of nature alone. There are more than that. And, you know, natural human reasoning cannot go as far, cannot go as far as understanding what life actually came from. It is not, a thing that, we can ordinarily think like that. These things are forces. There are forces guiding these spaces. There are forces guiding this kind of understanding in things that natural humans can't understand. If you look at the stories, the spirituality, and how significant these things are, they are not, they don't look like naturality. They don't look like what natural beings can think about. So it's just different from how we should think. We should just look at what it is and honestly understand. If we look at the story of the beginning of the world, it is a very good answer. It is a very good explanation of how things started on Earth.
I'm sorry,
But
I was
you
out
know,
for a second. Could you say that again? I was out for a second.
all right. So I'm just saying, if you look at the stories of the Bible and the specific way it's made the explanation on how the world and this, everything started, they all match up with each other in the sense that it makes sense, honestly, and it actually has an answer to exactly what happened at the beginning. Like you as a person, if there was no Bible, if there was no Christian or any other religion that talks about God, we can never think about the specific thing that happened. Now, if we also look at how the scientists, talked about the beginning of the world, we can see that at the beginning they said something happened. All right. Then there will always be another question. What came up to that something? What happened that something came? And there has never been a significant or a special and reliable answer to the question of what happened at the beginning of this life. Now, if we look at how they constructed all these things, they also say the earth started as heat. All right, heat is an energy, but what can cause heat itself? Nothing.
Okay, so you're saying that God
Unless,
created energy, right?
yes, it was created.
So the argument that you're making, if I can sum it up, is that you believe that energy had to come from somewhere, and that must be God.
Yes. Where else? If nothing can
Yep.
start on its own,
Nothing can start on its
logically,
own.
logic,
So, so
logically, nothing
nothing
can
can start on its own.
actually start on its own. Is I mean, including
But God can start
energy.
on his own, right? Like God was at one point not doing anything, and then at some point doing something like creating time and energy.
You see, now there's just this thing that
He can start on his own.
we should all right. So we know that the word eternal means no beginning, no end. It's
Just because that
has
word means
been.
that doesn't mean that it's real.
It actually is. It actually is because
It's just a concept.
we don't
We don't know
like.
what that is.
Okay, fine. All right. So like
Like even what I said earlier
as we
about energy not having any origin, I don't know that that's absolutely true. Like that's what I think, but
all right. So exactly. So if we also look at this same term, that's the Big Bang. All right. All right. What caused the Big Bang? There can never, there can never be a good answer for the question what caused it, because actually there has to be a cause for everything. You know, like
I mean
fire don't just
it's
start.
either the case that God talked to you himself or you witnessed a miracle. Because
Yes, yes. There are times,
so
honestly, though,
it was a miracle,
the
you saw
same.
a miracle.
There
Tell me about
are
that.
times. Okay, okay, okay. Now, for instance, me being somebody, you know, I move around. I just like that. The way nature is how I move. So in that case, I know what is wrong. I know what is right, and at the same time, I still end up doing what is wrong. That is nature. And that is how life is because it was damaged at the beginning due to free will that God gave those two people He created, as the Bible is and as we understand. So when nature, life itself, and nature and how it runs. It's just natural for us to go into problems. To It's not by God. It's not by God. We damaged it. Like if you look at the stories of how things became wrong at the beginning, you all find this thing that they all match up with what is actually happening at the moment. So now me myself, being a young fellow, I just noticed there are times when I don't want to do a wrong thing, and eventually I end up doing that same thing. This is nature. This is life. Now there's a consciousness that I actually accepted, not being, like mentally problematic and stuff, but I noticed that when I understood and actually tried to connect myself with this spirituality, I noticed there were differences in how I behave. There are differences in how I relate and how I speak and how well I, continued in reasoning. And I was able to control myself, which I was finding hard to do before I gave my life to Christ. So that's just exactly what I'm saying. Now,
So you weren't able to
miracle,
control yourself before,
exactly, like moving,
and God has
doing
given you
the
the power to
wrong
control
things.
yourself,
Exactly. This is
and
me,
that's a
and this
miracle.
is what, which is also a miracle. Now,
Okay.
another
So you're
system of
saying that
miracles.
there's no possible way you ever could have gotten to control yourself without God.
Yes, yes. It's not that. That's what I believe.
Okay.
That is what is
All right. So I
happening.
mean, I get that you believe that. I don't know that I could ever convince you of the otherwise. I mean, that's a wild statement to me. I am 100% sure that I know of plenty of people, atheist, Muslim, a Christian, Jewish, all kinds of religions that have no problem controlling themselves, and it's not about
I mean,
which God they pray to
in terms of
necessarily.
being sudden kind of, not gradual though, like sudden change that you get surprised of how is this possible and how did this happen to me. So this is the term. I
Would you
mean,
give
you
somebody all of
always
your money?
all. I mean, there's
Would you give
a
somebody all of your money?
spectacular reason. I mean,
Would you give a stranger all of your money?
it's not that's if
Would
there
you?
is a spectacular reason, I don't find issues with that. Honestly,
Okay, but you wouldn't do that, right? You wouldn't give a stranger all of your money, right?
I mean, if there is a spectacular reason, I don't
Right. So,
have
but
issues with that.
that's your baseline behavior. At baseline, you're not going to be the kind of person just gives all your money away, right? But then
Yeah.
if somebody puts a gun to your head, instantaneously your behavior is going to change and you're going to give up all your money, right?
Can I tell you something? Actually, it also depends on what I believe in. Because I've heard of testimonies of people who actually are in the point, at gunpoint, whereby things did happen as planned as the wicked made. So there are testimonies of people we hear. And
Okay, well, let's just
in the
assume that
narration,
it's not one of those days where you're ready to give up your money, but then somebody points a gun at your head and now you are ready, right? That's the whole point I'm trying to illustrate is that when you believe, because it could be not a gun, maybe they have a paper bag that they're pointing at you, or their hand is inside of a pocket or something like that. All these different scenarios in which people don't actually brandish the weapon, right? You could just believe that there's a gun and still give up all your money. The belief that there's a gun to your head will change your behavior instantaneously. So the belief that all of a sudden you are being scrutinized by a deity who has the power to damn you for eternity, that makes sense that would change your behavior. It doesn't seem like a miracle. I'm sure that if I convinced you of a different God who was certainly not real, that was doing the exact same things that your God is doing, you would still change your behavior immediately if I could truly convince you that they were real. Because belief is the basis of all
it
behavior.
would always happen. that way. It's, I can assure you, I'm not being, you know, I'm not pretending and I'm not
I'm
lying.
not. I don't. I
Being
don't think you're. I
honest.
don't think you're pretending. I really
What I
don't. I
believe,
hope that that comes across. That I don't think that you're pretending. I'm sure that you really believe the things that you're saying, and I don't doubt that for a second. It's just that I don't think that you have the context or the perspective to see how these things aren't really indicative of a God at all.
all right. So, thank you. Now,
No,
in that
thank you. I really appreciate it.
aspect, yes, in that aspect of being at gunpoint, to what I believe, to how I understand, to what I've seen, and according to how I feel and what I've come across already, two things happen, which I believe and which many of us do as Christians, though, is when you die and your mind is on the right path, and you know, there's the book of life as we have understood that when your name is there and you know you're living a beautiful life in the presence of the Almighty God, you don't have issues with death in the sense that when you die, it is just the body, and then the rest of what make us up as humans, which is the spirit and soul, goes away to the right side of eternal enjoyment. Another aspect is if a person finds himself at a gunpoint, as I believe, a person who is truly on the side of God, who is righteous, what I'm saying is that thing, that maybe that gun, or even that person cannot function to do wrong or to kill me or whoever might be. So those are the two things. Now, I'm not scared to die, and I understand that the wicked cannot prosper over my life. So that's just two things. So which means I believe in
I mean,
the
I
being.
appreciate that. The point of the hypothetical about the gun in your face was not to question your faith or to 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 try to interrogate that at all. It was just to illustrate that
I
belief
understand.
can change a person's behavior instantly.
Yes, in the natural way, but in the ways of how we read and how we've seen, it is not equal to how naturality will do. Like to normal human beings, when there is a gun, they are afraid. That's just natural. That's just something that is common and normal. Now, in on our side, on the side of those who believe in a God, those who are living righteously, we will usually, I mean, believe me, in most cases, not be afraid because we know
That's fine.
that,
Like I said, I'm not trying to interrogate that. I'm not interested in
yes,
interrogating that. I just want to know why you think that God is real. That's really all I want. I mean,
okay,
you've given me some reasons. I'm not going to say that you didn't give me any reasons. The reasons that you've given me are not compelling, in my opinion. I've given you the reasons why they're not compelling, and I think that we're just at an impasse at this point until we can try to dig deeper into our understandings of these things, hopefully with a better audio connection.
okay. So I think maybe we should go back to, I think this design topic. I think it's kind of broad in a way.
Okay,
So
sure.
like
Before you do that, I want to show something real quick. Let me see if I can get this right. So here is uh, Strong's Concordance, right? And there is the Ecclesiastes 12:7 and the Spirit. That's Strong's number 7307. The Spirit shall return unto God. That's when you die, your spirit goes back
all
to
right.
God, right? Right. Hold on. Sharing this tab now. Here's that word, ruka. pronounced pneuma, I believe, but I could be wrong with that. But it says wind by resemblance, breath, i.e., a sensible or even violent exhalation. I mean, do I have to make the point any further? Obviously, spirit and breath are the same word. So, I mean, there you go.
Okay, you see,
There you go.
all right. So, you see, like I said that the other time, I said in a sense, in a particular sense, life and spirit are the same. In another sense, they are not. So,
No, life
like,
and no spirit
in
and breath are the same, not life and spirit. Spirit and
in a
breath.
sense, in a sense, spirit and breath are the same. In another, it is not. Why?
You mean in real
So,
life or in the Bible? Because in real life, they're not like I don't know what spirit is. If the word that you're
exactly,
getting
because
for spirit, the word that you've been reading all this time as spirit is really breath, and you didn't even know that. I don't know what spirit is.
okay, no. If we also look at other terms where it was also written that the spirit goes back to God, we cannot say it's the breath that goes back to God in that sense.
I mean, we don't have the we weren't there, right? I mean, if I say the word there, right, that could be they are, or belongs to them, or them over
Yeah,
there, right?
yes,
A word can have many meanings in a certain context. They're using the
exactly.
word
So
that they also use for breath, right? So I don't know. Maybe they meant literally breath. And when they say that God breathed the breath of life into him, right? They're using a verb there, right? So that gives me more context as to the usage of that. In totality, I can't see how you are concluding that the spirit thing is something separate. And if it is, what is it? Because obviously, when I'm holding my breath, I'm still alive. And even if I stop breathing entirely, somebody could make me start breathing again.
um, I don't think that's actually possible in normal, at in terms of logic and natural laws. It's not actually I mean, a simple thing. No, it's natural that when a person dies, the person comes back to life.
Translation, bro. Are you serious? Are you serious? This is a Strong's number. This is oh my god. You know what? I'm not even gonna look it up, dude. Okay. I'm sorry. What were you saying?
Okay, so
Sorry, there's a guy in the
like
chat who's on your side who's not being reasonable.
okay,
Rebuke and reprove. Please join the chat. Join the conversation and educate me about this word ruka.
you see, look, me personally, I'm not actually familiar with all this, the Hebrew, the Greek, and
Sure, I'm not either,
other
dude.
things
But
like
the
that.
Strong's Concordance is an awesome thing because when you
Right.
when you look at a word in the Bible and you wonder what the context is or whatever, you can go in the concordance and see where all those words showed up before, right? So if somebody's
Yeah,
saying that the word is
I
being
actually
used,
do that. Actually do that sometimes, and like to what you actually search for. If you read more, I'm very, very sure in that same context, you also find that same word relating to the actual spirit that the Bible actually talks about, which, like apart from it being breath, it can also be equal to spirit, like the actual spirit, which is a little bit different from ordinary breath or, in fact, life on its own. So, like, I'm very sure that when you continue in that same search you made, you will also find the same thing relating to something different from breath itself. I'm very sure.
all right. So I'm looking for one. I'm finding a specifically spirit. Well, I mean, this is one.
All right,
This is one that's supposedly specifically about spirit. Ecclesiastes 12:7.
look at
Spirit goes back to God, right? If it means breath, then But
that. It's not
I guess I
that
can
way.
find a different one. Let's see. I need a different website because the Strong's Concordance sucks. But anyways, while I'm doing that, and I'll just do that in the background, is there anything else? Any other evidence for God? Is there any reason for me to change my beliefs right now?
Okay. We can also look at how humans, like people, religious people, in terms of their numbers, in terms of their beliefs, and how convinced and convicted they are. So the belief, the understanding that there is a
So
God.
the fact that people believe in God means that God's are real.
No, that's not actually what I'm trying to say. I'm just saying, you know, quite a lot of people cannot be deceived at the same time. Like, if you look at the portions of the people around the world who actually believes there is God. I mean, like, if that thing is not actually real, people cannot continually be brainwashed in that manner, and they cannot continually, be deceived or be blinded in that manner. So it means these same people have seen things, they have experienced things that are not natural. Like to me, there are times, like I was trying to say, I've seen miracles happen. I've heard testimonies that do not look natural, that look different from what, life or nature plans. Because honestly, I've seen people who are actually about to die. I mean, like, probably accidents and stuff. But somehow, when prayers are made, when, like when we try to bring the attention of the God we believe in into that situation, things we expect to go bad doesn't go bad. If you also look at testimonies of people who actually probably lost, these things don't look like coincidence. No, you understand? So like these kind of things are actually when we pray about a particular thing, they come to pass.
Okay.
Do you understand? Like they actually come to pass. They're not something that's
No, I don't understand. I'm
just
sorry. I don't. I really don't understand. I understand that you are able to see patterns that it seem to indicate to you that your God is real, right? There are plenty of people, including me, who did not see those kind of patterns when I did believe. So I mean, the ship has kind of sailed on that.
okay. Okay. So you see, like I was saying, I have seen things, and so as many of us who actually believe, who are not hard-hearted, who are actually ready to understand things. We've seen different instances whereby this kind of situations doesn't look like coincidence, where we personally were expecting a bad thing to happen, and at the end,
Well, you don't believe in coincidence at all,
like
right?
coincidence. Come on, like coincidence, of course, yes. But I'm just saying, this
You don't believe in that.
particular kinds of, I believe in coincidence. Coincidence happen.
You do? How could a coincidence exist when
Sure.
everything is designed by God, even turds?
See, like I was trying to say, I said, the way nature works is different from how spirituality works. Nature has limits, spirituality doesn't. So if we are trying to equally look at spirituality and now physical and nature, if we cannot put these entirely different things together on the same scale and then be using one to judge the other. We cannot use spirituality to judge nature, neither should we use nature to judge the spirit. So it's just different in a very significant manner. Now, have you heard of what is called speaking in tongues?
Yeah.
All right. So do you find it, like a mental problem or something stupid or something real?
I think it's a form of self hypnosis.
How? How is that
I'm
possible?
sorry. How is it
I
possible to
mean,
self
if it is,
hypnotize?
yeah,
It's like meditation. It's very easy. You do it all the time.
not speaking in tongues is actually different.
Oh, yeah, it's different, but it's essentially the same process in your brain, as far as I understand.
Okay, okay. So like these same people, why
You,
weren't they
for
able to
example,
do
you know that
this?
if you look in a mirror and tell yourself that you're beautiful or I love you or something like that, some positive affirmation 10 times every day, it's gonna make you feel good. Did you know that?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. But like I
Yeah,
was
it's self
saying,
hypnosis.
nature is different from the spirit, from spirituality. So
I don't know
like
that.
yeah, you can motivate yourself to be something, to believe in a thing, but this specific terms about speaking in tongues is actually not looking like a a natural thing, because when we look at the kinds of things
What do you
that
mean?
goes on at that moment,
Yeah,
of
if
course, I
speaking,
mean,
I talked about this on. Hold on. I talked about this on Hake's show the other day. When I was on his show, speaking in tongues is supposed to be where you speak your own language, and anybody around you who speaks other languages and not your language will magically, divinely, whatever word you want to use, understand you. It's not over and over and over again ad nauseum. That's not. It's fake. Now, if I saw a person speaking Chinese and magically I understood them, that could be evidence of God. Sure. The Bible also
right? So
says that
like,
these signs will stop in the last days. So there's an excuse to not even say that they're real.
okay, so about the speaking in tongues, again, it is not natural. I mean, let's just be honest. Let's be honest. These things don't just come that way. And as normal as it sounds, we cannot start speaking, I mean, boldly speaking a language we don't understand. Like, I have never, like, I don't know French, I don't know Chinese, but imagine me boldly speaking it. So it's just a sign that these things are not natural. And like I said, we shouldn't always look at spirituality and its like on the same level with the nature, with natural things. They are very,
So are you
very
saying that I
different.
should, if somebody makes a spiritual claim, okay, go ahead. Go ahead. Sorry.
All right. So what I'm saying is we shouldn't always like they're not the same. Spirituality and nature and the physical, they are not the same. So when we're looking
Okay.
at the spiritual things, we should look at it in that manner. Not because we are stupid, no, because that is what it is. When we also look at things in a natural way, we should make it that way because that is actually what it is. Now, in terms of logic, we should also look at things logically as it is. In terms of talking about children and talking to children, we should look at things in their own way. We'll also come back to the elderly, older people. We should also look at things in their way. So now, when we talk about spirituality, we shouldn't, base our minds on the simple things we know. We should be ready to understand. That's the meaning of being honest. So now, we're talking about speaking in tongues. Of course,
Okay. So hold on.
truly,
Hold on.
we
Hold on. Hold
might
on. Hold on.
have.
Hold on. Hold on. Hold on. So if somebody comes to you with a magic potion that they've created, a spirit spell, whatever, are you going to use it?
to what I know. I'm not a
No,
fan
you won't
of
use
magic.
magic.
No, magic. No, I mean
So
like
it's
to
really
what I
just
believe
your
in.
religious, spiritual claims that you give deference to, right? Because I don't have
Kind of.
I don't share your proclivities. I'm not a Christian, right? So to me, your claims about spirituality and magic are no different than a Wiccan's or somebody who is of a different religion, right?
No,
They're all
no.
the same to me. Why would I give
There,
them special treatment?
you see, we shall be. Let's be honest, though. Like there are differences in everything. Like we have in Christians, there are different kinds of Christians, and in fact, Islam, even though they claim they are all the same, but honestly, they too are different. Now, in your side of not believing in God, there is also a difference in you people, and there are two I've found out that there are some of you who know there is God, but hate who He is, while there are some
Who?
who
Who?
doesn't know.
Who? Name one. Name one.
Like I know who they are. I mean, like with the things I've seen
You're saying that
online.
there are atheists who know for a fact that there is a God and yet are doing atheist stuff.
Doesn't. Yes.
Does that make sense to you? Does that make sense to you?
It actually, like, yes,
Because
yes, like
this is the wait, no, wait, because this is the whole gun to your head thing again. This is the whole gun to your head all over again. You are saying that there's a gun to my head, and I know that there's a gun to my head, and I'm saying I want to die.
no.
Yeah, because if I know for a fact that there is a God, your God, if I know that for a fact, then I know for a fact that there's a heaven and a hell, right? I know for a fact
Yes.
that my actions and my choices are going to damn me or save me, right? I know those for facts. It's not like a belief. It's not like, maybe, I don't know. It's, I know, right? And to know that there's a God and not worship him or do exactly what he says, I mean, that's just insanity, right?
Okay. Now concerning on knowing there is a God and not knowing there is a God, there is a difference. But on the scale of being normal, like as Christians, we know to respect who God is and you just have to believe in him. So as Muslims or in fact Buddhists or I don't know how they actually call them, what they believe in is actually what they believe. And it's not because they are being brainwashed about it. It's because they've seen, they've understood, and they have experienced things. And there is also another aspect where people are brainwashed to believe. You understand? So this is a different situation. So
I
these
don't
people
understand.
are pushed. Okay. Anyways, what I'm just saying is, when people are stuck to a thing, to a particular belief, it actually has a significant reason. In the sense that Christians understand there is Jesus, there is God, there is the Holy Spirit, there is spirit, the body and the soul. There's also hell. There's also heaven. So it's not actually a thing of being brainwashed. That's not actually being brainwashed about the thing. It's actually understanding. So when you have understanding in a thing, you actually keep to that
You
particular
have
thing that
understanding of God,
yes.
so you can explain to me how he works.
Okay, I cannot
So
always,
if you
I
understand
cannot.
God, all I wanted to know is how did he make any decisions without time?
That's the spectacular thing about this God. You understand? Like, if I mean, the God we know, as I'm saying, as I said, is actually a being who is not working in time. who is working
That doesn't make sense.
outside of time.
No,
It may not,
a,
but
a thought,
actually is.
a thought,
There's no why.
a decision,
There's no why.
a decision. Think about what a decision is. What a decision is to decide, right? That requires temporal causality. It requires that there be a moment and then another moment. Time must pre-exist any decision, any thought. Thoughts require time.
Well,
Does that make
it's
sense?
actually it will make sense in terms of thinking about it on a natural note. But like I said, eternity
Just think about it. It's supernaturally whatever. God does not decide, and then he decides. First, then.
because he's a
First,
being,
then.
you should
Temporal
understand.
concepts. You can't take them out.
He's a being. He's a being. Like he knows all.
He
I
can't be a
mean,
being if he
understand that.
decides. If he's
What
outside time, it
about
doesn't make sense.
this decision that humans make? No, he has the way it works. Not it doesn't work the way we. Neither do we work the way it works. So they're just different in a very significant.
So how does it
Just
work?
have to understand. Okay, so like I was saying again, he is not in this time we operate in. He's outside of it. We shouldn't look at it like
It's outside of
natural
our
thing.
time. So he has
Like,
his own
we
time
said,
that he's constrained to.
like the term that time actually is not existing in his realm. We shouldn't look at that kind of situation on a natural way or in a natural way. We should look at it more than that. That is being honest. And if we also look at how things work, is everything on earth right now actually works according to time. That's why we have the number of years and the number of hours in a day and stuff. But on his side, we don't have any of these things. We don't have numbers of years. We don't have the numbers of hours that this thing occurs or this time. So I mean, it's just different from this part of the universe. I mean, like on Earth, it's just different. So that's what I'm saying. When we think about spiritual things, or we also talk about the
Okay.
physical things, they are different.
Okay, so first you said that you need understanding that you have, and then I gave you the reason why I couldn't understand it, and then you told me to summarize it is that it's different.
Yes, it's different in a particular way,
Okay.
and it's slightly.
I get that it's different.
the
I'm
same.
fine with it being different, but how does it work?
Right, like I was trying to tell you, we don't have to, define it in our way because we are still working with time. We are still working with the system
Yeah,
that
it's different.
nature
Yeah, it is different.
gives.
Sure.
So shouldn't like a person
But if
like
you
for
have
instance,
understanding, then you can explain it.
yes, I could explain it in a way, and my explanation is the biggest reason why we cannot fully give a complete and reasonable. It will be reasonable, but it might not be satisfying to people who might think these things are not the same or these things are not true. Like to my opinion and to how we understand and how the Bible made it clear, it's just God is outside of time. God is eternal. It's just different from what we understand. I mean, how we work.
You can be eternal and still constrained in time because time could be co-eternal with you.
Anyways,
You could say that God and
well,
time have both existed for forever and get around the whole objection altogether. You just can't continue to claim that God created time.
According to what we learned and according to what the Bible has said, There is no day and night in heaven. There is no
Yeah,
sunrise,
because
neither
day and
is there
night is
night.
that's because day and night is created by the rotation of the Earth around the sun. So yeah, I don't
So
expect there to be a day and night the way
the
we have
mind,
it in any other place.
okay. So apart from not having it in that place,
What did I say?
so that's just one
The
of the
rotation of the
different
Earth around its
significant
axis.
that the heavens we know is not like the earth. Neither is the system of operation there equal to the system of operation on earth right now, or
Yeah, I
even
know,
since then or to the future
but
time. So I mean, these
you
things
can
are
just say I don't really understand it, right? I mean, you can
I
just say I don't
understand.
understand it.
I mean,
You don't,
it's not.
you don't,
I
because I asked you
understand.
to tell me
What
the
I
different understanding,
understand
and
is
you just tell me that it's different, and you're finding different ways to tell me that it's different, but you're just saying the same thing over and over again. It's different. Yeah,
that's
I
what
get
I'm
it.
saying. I said we shouldn't look at these things on equal levels. They
Okay, so
are
tell me
different.
how do I change my level of perception so that I can understand it? Do I need to do some
You should
ayahuasca? Do I
just
need to smoke some peyote? Do I need to drop some acid? How do I? Because I mean, even if I do those things, I'm not going to trust what I see. I mean, is there a?
okay.
Can I
So
say a prayer?
you see,
Can I say one
it's
prayer
just
right now? Can you tell me the words to a prayer that I can say that will give me the understanding? That would be great. If you
no.
could tell me a prayer that I
At
could
this
say to
time,
God right now to make me
no.
understand, I would say it,
Let's be
and
let,
then we would know
let's be
whether it works.
honest. Let's be honest. Let's be honest. You cannot
There's no
be
God.
as
Let's be honest.
sober. Listen, you cannot be as sober as you should at this moment. You understand? It's not that I'm trying to preach. I'm actually preaching in a particular way, but I mean in this kind of environment, yeah, it cannot just happen in that way. So it's just being sober. I will tell you what it is. It's just being sober, being honest, and then trying to believe in a thing. It's not compulsory fully render yourself. No, it's not necessary. But just putting yourself in the state of you want to see what it is and being honest and at the same time being sober about it. And that's all. Say what you
I'm
want.
dead serious. If you tell me a prayer that I can say right now, that I will say it honestly and with all the faith I can muster, whatever it takes. Yeah, I'm down for it, man.
Like
I'm
I
here
was
for
trying
it.
to say.
If you can give me the evidence that there's a God, if I can connect to this spiritual realm right now, I will do it. I'm not
You
joking.
see,
I'm not being insincere. I'm dead serious.
uh, like I was trying to say, of course it's possible at this
Right
time,
here, I'll
but
do it for you. God, if you are there, if there's any gods in the universe, please, right here in front of this live audience of whatever it is, 9 people right now, if you are there, please give me the understanding. Convince me in my heart that you are real, and let all these people bear witness to that. In the name of
oh
Jesus,
God.
amen.
Okay, now I want you to be honest. Were you actually sober?
I'm not drunk.
No, like that's not actually what I
You want
mean.
me to
But I
fast?
mean, like,
You want me to fast? You want me to like what?
deeply,
Am I smoking a
deeply,
cigarette? Yeah.
deeply ready. Like, what I mean sober is just deeply ready to experience these things. You could try it on your own. I mean, you could just like listen. Just to experience something is, I mean, which is not like we're talking to our physical fathers and mothers, whereby we just say a thing
Why
and
are you
it
explaining
should be that.
anything right now? Why aren't you just waiting for it to happen? Where's your faith?
You see, there are different. Like I was saying, the physical is different from spirituality, and to
Yeah.
experience this,
Man, come on, man.
listen, like
Okay, I think we
just
should wrap it up.
happens.
Don't you think? I mean, unless you want to wait for the miracle, but I don't think it's going to happen. But
Listen. This is what I'm saying. I mean, you have to be honest. I mean, no. Listen, it's just
Just because I find something
something
humorous does not mean I'm being dishonest.
Yes, but in a particular way, in a significant manner.
You
It's just
you started talking less than a minute after my prayer ended. You didn't even wait one whole minute for God to do what you thought what he should be able to do. You don't have the faith that you think you do.
okay.
You
Now
didn't
I
even
want
wait
to
1 minute.
look at. Should we? Let's look at this instance. Let's look at this instance. Maybe you're a father to
Even if
have
it
a
is
child.
insincere, God could do it anyways, just to prove a
Yes,
point.
but listen. Let's not look at these things on this shallow manner. Let's look at it differently, not according to what we think. It's, that way. Now, what I was saying is to experience this thing is just being humble and then deliberate about the thing. And that's what I'm saying. In this instance, you cannot. I mean, it's just not really actually possible at this moment that you just pray and then it happens.
Yep.
So like
It is not possible.
doesn't
You are absolutely
it's
correct
I'm
about that.
yes, so that's just what I'm saying, that you have to be specific inside, being deliberate to see, I mean to experience something. So that's just what I mean. It's not something like, you just blow the words out and then boom, and then I mean this
I
thing
mean,
is not work the way with.
those aren't just words. Like I did think about that a lot. I've been thinking, like, is there a prayer? Like that's something that crosses my mind regularly. I'm the kind of person who just thinks about what ifs like that. And the thought, is there possibly a prayer that could invoke a God that if I said it in front of Christians, they would understand that that's not working?
Yeah, so the main point I'm just trying to say is in terms of bringing this person to your own environment is being sober, like just being honest inside, like deeply honest about this thing.
Right.
And then
So
believe me,
no matter
you
what
will
happens, right? As long as the result that you if you don't get the result that you want to see, you're going to always accuse me of being dishonest, right?
no,
If
I'm
I
just saying
no matter what
this
prayer I
kind of
say,
environment,
what if I fasted for a week? What if I didn't eat during the sun up to sundown type thing like the Jews did for a
you
whole
are
week? Then would
honest.
you
I
think I
mean,
was sincere
I'm not
then?
saying you're not I'm not saying you're not honest. Like being
You think I'm
deliberate.
just
Like
insincere about
being
this? You think that my prayer was
no,
insincere? You do.
no, no. Like what I'm saying is in these environments where you and me are having a conversation and other people talking and stuff, it cannot really blow up that way. Like it cannot actually
I don't know
rest
why.
in this environment. Okay. So what I'm saying is if we actually look at how prayers are being made in churches, it is not in the environment where there is actually distractions and noises and stuff like that. So this is true. So and it's not because things can happen in distraction or in
Well,
this
I
kind
mean,
of
hold
noisy
on, because
environment.
technically, I'm alone in a room. Okay, I'm in a self-standing little tiny shed, right? That's I'm converted into a studio. This is a little building. I am totally alone in this room. The only reason why we're talking to each other is because of technological advancements and whatever, right? But I can take this out, right? Now I can't hear you. Now I'm just talking to myself, hypothetically. I mean, not to, whatever the word is. Technically, I'm just talking to myself, right? I could turn off the microphone. What I mean, how do you want to play? You tell me what the criteria is, because you can watch me. I can just be live streaming in here and be totally alone and say my prayer however you want to say it. I just want the miracle, dude.
Like
You give me
it's
you
a
give
good
me
thing.
the blueprint and I'll get the miracle and we're good. Atheist Edge is done.
All right. So look. Like I was saying, you just have to be true. Like true. I'm not saying you're not true, but in a kind of sincere and honest manner, like to yourself, like you are free in your mind, and then you're not like
Okay, but I've done that.
you're.
Like I've done that a lot. Like I used to be a very devout Christian, man. Like I used to really believe this stuff. I've done that a lot. And you know, when I reflect, when I think about it sincerely, I realize that the times that I thought that my prayers were answered were not that often at all, first of all, and the second of all, not that impressive.
That's actually one of the
And
problems.
usually I was praying for something that I was trying to get.
Let's be true. Like I was trying to make an example of you being a father, then your child asking you a particular thing, and in his mind, you can actually read his mind, for instance, and then in his mind, he's also saying he won't give me, he doesn't love me, and he cannot actually provide this particular thing for me. So now you in your personal self, even though you can do it, even though you can actually provide that particular thing, and then your child is having this same solid doubts in his mind that you can also hear apart from the words or the requests he's trying to make, would you actually freely give?
But I actually what?
Like, would you
I missed that
actually
last word you
give
said.
that particular child? Like, would you
Give
actually
them what they
give the
asked for.
particular child? Yes, with the doubts and the dark-minded,
If
reasoning that you
you're,
can actually hear.
why wouldn't I? What is the thing?
Okay, let me ask again.
I
What
mean,
I'm saying is,
if my kid's praying to me for candy and it's before dinner, then the answer is no, right? But what
no,
if it's for a
and
piece of candy after dinner
and
and they ate their food? Then yeah,
no, what I'm saying is, and the same child is having dark thoughts or doubts in the mind about what you can do, and you can actually hear the
dark
same
thoughts
things.
about what I can do.
No, listen, like doubts is what I mean. The kind of reasoning that
What?
is equally saying.
Hold on, this is real life for me. I have kids, right? I have sons. They're like 6 and 7, right? They are smartasses who talk back a lot, right? Because I let them, I guess, they tell me all the time that they know everything. They think they don't know jack, and they think they know everything. So I mean, it's not a hypothetical for me. My kids don't think I know half the things I tell them. I literally was telling them the other day. What was it? I was telling them that water, because they play Minecraft, right? So they think that water, fire, and all that crap is elements. I'm like, no, hydrogen and oxygen make water. Those are the elements, blah, blah, blah. Right? They don't believe me. They don't think I'm telling the truth. Minecraft is hell.
Yeah. Okay, so
I mean, what? Why? But I'm still trying to convince them that I'm not going to give up. Like, I'm not going to let my kids walk around in the world thinking that water is an element. Well, I don't see the analogy here. And another thing is, regardless of what my kids think about what I can and can't do, they know that I'm real because I'm here for them every day. Every single day I'm with my kids. I tell them I love them every single day. Like there's no ubiquity about that. They know that I'm real. So it doesn't matter if I give them everything that they want. It doesn't matter if I can read their minds or any of that stuff, right? Because I'm just there for them, right? So I mean, God doesn't have to give me shit. I just wanted to know he's real.
So this, you see, like I was trying to say, if your child asks you a thing, and then at the same time, in his mind, is also saying, I mean, like you can hear those thoughts, and then the same child is also saying, he cannot give me, he's not going to do that, or any other kind of reasoning that is actually opposing the request he's making, how would you actually handle the case?
What's the request?
No, for instance, maybe a child, your own child is asking for a particular thing. Then
What thing?
in his mind,
What is the thing?
I don't know. I don't like, maybe I don't know. There are different lot of things. Maybe
Pick
for
something, anything. I don't
instance,
care.
maybe maybe for instance, maybe a bicycle,
You can
maybe.
take your time. I will
So
wait. If you want to take a second and let's just take a moment and you want to think about it, because
well,
I don't want you to rush and
let's
not
just
have your point made. Please take a second.
let's choose.
And while you do
Let's
that, I just want to say shout out to everybody who's still here in the chat. GG, Purple Rhymes with Orange, Mephistopheles. I can't say Mephistopheles. Mephistopheles, right? That should be how you say it. And who else is here? Anybody else? Oh, TP Seeker. Nice to see you. God equals the square root of -1. Nice. Anyways, shout out to all you guys in the chat. Thank you for being here. I hope you're enjoying this. I don't know. I guess we're gonna keep going. Okay, so Emmanuel, go ahead if you have one yet.
Okay, so
what is the request my kids asking me to do?
Let's choose something like a bicycle. So for the first time,
hey Maya,
so for like this child is actually speaking, actually requesting, like, asking you for that particular thing for the first time, and then in the child's mind, I mean, for instance, you can actually hear what is or understand everything going on inside. You can actually understand that in his mind, he's also saying you cannot give him that thing. You cannot provide that particular thing. Like, how would you respond to that request? Is it freely give, or with grudges? And I mean, like, how would you give that particular thing?
So if my kid wants a bike, it doesn't matter to me at all what other things that they're thinking about as far as that bike is concerned. The criteria that I will decide whether or not I'm giving them a bike is if they've met the minimum standard of behavior and performance, right? So like doing their schoolwork and not being bad kids. That's pretty much it. If they do that and I can provide the bike, then yeah, I'm doing it. If they have thoughts about me that are negative, I expect that because that's reality. I'm not a perfect dad. I make mistakes, and they have perfect reason to suspect that I'm not all powerful. I'm not even close to power. I'm not powerful at all. Like my kids thinking bad things about me or negative or not the best, that's perfectly normal. I expect it, and I hope that that's the case. I don't want my kids to just blindly follow everything else. I tell them all the time, like, nobody's right all the time, not even me, especially not me.
Yeah, that's true. That's just on everybody. So what I'm just saying is, but look, it's just when you are true to yourself. I mean, you're not having doubts. Believe me. I mean, just deliberately. Don't think that this prayer isn't going to be answered, or I mean, you just have to be true to yourself. This prayer, maybe before.
I mean, so let me just tell you, when I was still a believer, especially towards the end, I was very careful in crafting my requests to God, right? I would follow my understanding of the Bible as far as what kind of prayers God would answer. I wouldn't ask God to do things that were against his will. You know what I'm saying? I would only ask God for things that should be in line with his will according to my understanding of it. And even then, not a significant result.
Because that is what
I get it. Don't go asking God for a piece of candy. Don't go asking God for a mountain of gold. Ask God to do something that is in his will, like keep your marriage alive or help you pull off a charitable event or something. I don't know, like something that's miraculous though, something that can't happen.
Like you see, talking to God, praying is actually expecting exactly what you said, not the other part. That is when that thing
I'm just
leaves this
realizing.
person.
I'm sorry. I'm realizing right now as I said those things that now that my perspective has shifted, I have a totally different perspective. So the things that I'm saying kind of sound contradictory. The idea that a miracle has to be something that's impossible versus something that's in line with God's will, right? That's a shift that happened within me. Before, I would have said, pray for things that are within God's will. But now that I don't believe that even works, now the only thing that will move me back to that is to see something that cannot happen.
So you have to believe in a thing you said. You have to believe in the exact things you prayed for. You see, when you are having a doubt or you're in doubt, or you're having opposite reasoning about your prayers, it will be hard for those things to come to you. It is not me talking, it's just how these things work. Like if we look now, let's talk about Jesus. You see, as it is written, when he prays, in the terms of words he uses, and in the terms of how we say things, we always find out that this is direct and is expecting the answers. When we also look at the words of the disciples, we also see that these words are direct and they are also expecting the exact answers. Now, in our church, in real churches, though, when the pastors or the people pray, when I pray, I make sure that the things I say are the things I am expecting. I don't have to think about what if it doesn't come to pass? What if it doesn't happen? These what if statements or what if reasoning should not be in
So,
my mind.
I mean, you hear yourself, right? Like you're praying, you're saying that you keep your prayers to only things that you know will happen. You have a very
No,
strong
not
belief will
that.
happen. So,
That's
so
not
you're
what I mean. I
biasing
mean,
the sample right off the top, right? Like if I
that's not
only
what I
pray
said.
for, like I could pray that my partner will cook dinner tonight, and because she said she will, is it a miracle? No, right?
That's normal life. That's normal thing. I mean, look, what I'm saying is, in the things we
If I
pray
pray that
for,
my kids will be bad or break something or do something that I don't want them to do, I know that they're going to do that at some
that's
point in
not,
the future, right? Like it's not a prayer.
that's not a prayer. I mean, look, this is what I'm saying. I mean, when we pray, the best of our minds should be on the line to expect the things you said. You don't, sometimes there are prayers that look impossible, believe me, but at the same time, they can be answered. I've said, I've seen testimonies. I mean, I've seen people testify, and I've personally experienced miracles. If I was blinded, if I was hard hearted, I can even see those things and still not understand. So, this is what
So
I'm
when
saying
earlier
that when
conversation, I asked you about miracles that you've witnessed, and you mentioned that God had convinced you of something, or I think that you said that He changed your belief. But now you're saying that you've
yeah,
seen other miracles, and I just want to know what is the most spectacular miracle that you've seen.
you know, the ones, well, actually, is actually one of the most common. Is actually the sudden change of a lifestyle. Not only myself, though, like in different other people I know. And also, when there's also terms of testimonies, I personally, that when I pray, it's not about coincidence. Like I said, I understand. I mean, I understand there is coincidence that, things just happen together. Different things come together at the point. Now, whereby these prayers I made are actually working for my own good. Like for instance, maybe there's a particular time I don't have a thing, and when I pray, and also honestly expecting the answers, I get those things. Do you understand? So it is not, I'm not having doubts about it. I only believe that what I have said will come to pass. And then if I don't have a good heart that is actually connecting me and the Almighty together, it will be hard for those things to come. So I know that if I don't have a good heart, or if I'm having doubts, or probably I've done something wrong, then and I've come to His presence, let me speaking or be praying, it won't really work as much as it should. Now let's come to earthly terms, like if a servant is in the presence of the king, he has to be true, he has to be honest, and he has to be clean. You understand? So it's just like you're talking to a person, but in these cases, he's not in your presence in the physical way, but he is there in the spiritual way. So it's just talking to this person. You have to be true, you have to be humble, and you have to be honest, just deliberately. So that is when you get the attention of the king on the physical world, and then you also get the attention of God in the spiritual manner too.
I mean, I'm willing to take a shower. I'm willing to fast. Like, I don't know what else you could ask for me as far as that goes. Before you say anything else, I want to address something I saw in the chat. Right, it's from Rhodes. He said he's not finished reading the Bible, but if there's evidence proving no God, I would be an atheist. But all these years, nothing. And I just wanted to point out to Rhodes, if you're still watching, that you cannot prove a negative. You cannot prove that there is no God. You cannot prove that there are no leprechauns or that there are no unicorns or anything like that, right? I cannot prove beyond the shadow of any doubt that there isn't an invisible monkey living in my butt. You know, that could be the case because I can't prove that it's not the truth. You can only prove that which is because there's evidence of it, right? Something never happened, then there is no evidence of it. If you've proven that there is no murder, it doesn't make sense, right? Because what evidence could exist for it? Anyways, okay, go ahead. Is there anything else you want to talk about here, Emmanuel?
No, it's just, I mean, the different topics will actually point out the fact that this life never happened on its own. I mean, with that alone, I mean, just logically, this place was created. If I mean, just let's just look at the way nature and every single thing works. These things are so much orderly that we don't understand how these things are made. So, like the
No, I mean,
day comes after the night after night, and we look at the human body too. We cannot think of anything better than how we are. Like, is there anything else we need? Like human body. And then if you also look at these other factors
okay, wait,
about
wait, 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 wait,
nature.
wait. The human body, right? I mean,
Yes.
it, even if I were to grant you that it was designed just out of charity, I could not ever grant you that it was designed by a perfect designer, that it is a perfect design by any stretch of the
Okay, so
imagination.
yeah,
These
is
bodies
there
fall
anything
apart
else?
way too easily. They come out even congenially with all kinds of malformations and issues, right? I mean, the human body is not that spectacular. You know, there's the issue of infections that are caused by our own bodies. You know, that's kind of gross. Like, I don't
So
want to go
look,
into too much detail, but
see, this is why we don't really have to judge everything by what we think. Now, like according to what we understand, there were no such thing as disease, as imperfection. There were nothing like sicknesses. at the beginning of creation, Adam and Eve and others. Now, if we
I've
also
heard
look
other
at,
Christians say otherwise.
hmm?
I've heard Christians say otherwise.
So well, there are
Yeah,
different
because they have to
Christians.
explain what was it? The animals and their life cycles in the Garden of Eden. You have to explain whether or not they were immortal too before the fall. A
You
lot of
see,
Christians will
like,
say that they weren't. So
that's a very that's easily that one can be easily debated amongst people. But you see,
yeah,
these
I'm not really keen on it.
things are simply unnecessary. The actual things the Bible points out the most is for humans and your relationship with God and heaven. That's actually the most important. So you see, in terms of humans at the beginning, as what we have read, there were humans living up to the age of 900 years, 800 years, 700 years. So as long as much as the thing as we drew closer to this time was when the ages reduced. And it is not us that is. It was how things were programmed. And for one reason, which the Bible also made clear, is that when people in this era grow old, I mean, live very long, there will be more of bad things going on. There will be more of evil experience, and that whereby people will use the experience they've gotten in life to actually harm other people. Now, let's just imagine that these inventors, probably the inventors of guns, if they had just 500 years more to what they have done, at a point, they will surely make these weapons more dangerous, more, harmful to humanity. So these are just the simple reasons that the Bible made clear that that's why we all have to reduce in age to a particular age, which is actually around 120. It's there in the Bible, which is average. Believe me, it is there in the Bible. So like this, you see, so that's what I'm saying. We have to pick this general understanding in the Bible and what we understand, and then use it to judge not just a single aspect. Now, many of you guys will say, if God is true, if God is loving, if God is, nice and stuff, why is He allowing these bad things to happen? It's a good question, but is that correct? Is it actually God? At the beginning, humans were not supposed to die. Believe me, we were not supposed to be sick. We were not supposed to have this dirty kind of mind. But
Okay, hold on, hold on,
because
hold on, hold on. Let's slow down a little bit, okay? You're kind of running off away from me. The Bible saying that there's an age limit of 120 years old, right? You think that that's true? That there's nobody can live past 120 years old? Hello? Can you hear me now?
yes,
Good. So the Bible says that you can't live past 120, right? You believe that?
no, that's not what I meant. I said it was there in the Bible where it was written that ages, like because of how bad people will get at the end of the day, was the reason why ages, I mean, the actual limit of ages had to be reduced. So, like I
Right. And
said,
so the Bible says in Genesis 3:6, it says, "Then the Lord said, My spirit will not contend with man forever, for he is mortal. His days will be 120 years." So what
so
does that mean?
very good. So, like in the terms of logic and understanding, you understand that is in that range, not far from 120, and not too far from 120, and around that age bracket, 120,
Around.
110,
So why did he not say
that.
around?
You see,
approximate.
let's just be true about this. Now that's actually a very good age, which is 120. And then, if as humans, if we live as healthy as possible, we don't smoke, we don't, we exercise as normal, we sleep when we have to sleep, we eat correct foods. Don't you think it's possible not to live to that age? I mean, like, it's possible to live to that age.
It's possible to reach what? 900 years old?
That one, no, like 120 or slightly more.
Slightly more?
Right? Like you said, you were pointing out the fact that God said ages of men will be around 120.
Well, I mean,
So
it doesn't say around. It says it will be limited to 120. There is a Hebrew word for near, which they could use for approximate, right? And I don't think that that's there. I'm checking right now.
Anyways,
keep talking.
So whatever the case might be, it is not easy for humans to actually like pass that age, or how many has happened that way?
Genesis 3:6, Strong's Concordance. I just want to know if the word for near is used in that thing, or if it is an absolute declaration. Sorry, guys. Put up with me for a second. My issues. I have to know these kind of things. I have to do it right now. Or I'll never do it. Genesis 6:3. Yet his days, Yom, nope, not cut off. Nope. Shall be 100. Shall be. So it just goes from days to 100. Yeah, so there's no indication that he means near, as far as I can tell. I think that you're kind of inserting that into the Bible. If I was a Christian and I was very strict about that kind of thing, I would say, because the Bible says you're not supposed to add anything to the Bible, not jot or tittle. So, I mean, to infer the word near, it seems like a sin to me. But
you see, like near, as I said, is like I was trying to ask you that. Are there instances where people are actually living more than 120?
You know about that?
No, I don't really know. I don't know.
Yeah, that's what I was going to get to, is that there have been people. There is at least one I know of. What's her name? Their name. Sorry. Just had it pulled up. Where is it? Nope, that's not it. History. A person lived to be 122 years old. And they died when? Oldest human ever. Jean Louis Calmet, oldest person ever, was born in 1875 and passed away in 1997 at the ripe old age of 122 years old, violating Genesis and their declaration that you can only live to 120 years. Clearly, that is not the case. So, seems to me that the Bible has been debunked once again.
It's not debunked. That's not been. That's not. Look, you see. Okay, fine. Like, now let's also look at something again.
Oh, Gigi pulled it up there. Someone put it there. Thank you, Gigi.
Yeah, it's fine. It's fine. It's fine. So, like, let's also look at something else in the Bible where it was also
before we move on to anything else. So you're just going to dismiss that? You don't care.
No, I'm trying to like point out something else again.
But before you
So
point out
like,
anything else, you should really just take a moment to contend with that. Just think about what that means. The
why
Bible
should I?
says, I mean, apparently it could mean something else, but I mean, it seems to say that you can only live to 120,
Exactly
and
120. Yeah.
we can't. So I mean, it's wrong, or that's the wrong interpretation. But either way, we don't have understanding.
Okay, fine. Like in terms of reasoning, these things are specific. That's true. But I'm also trying to point out something else. In the Bible where God told I think Abraham and Eve that when they eat the fruit, the next thing to happen to them is actually death. So if you also look at it, eventually the death they mentioned is not actually the kind of death we think it is. It is actually
Why
something
do you say that?
different.
You have
Okay,
some kind of
fine. Now
contextual
if you
clue to
look
say
at
that?
no like now like there are terms of death that the Bible uses. Now like the Bible said the wages of sin is death. So in that case, the Bible also said, "Whosoever doesn't have his name written in the book of life is." I cannot actually phrase how it was written, but there was also another instance where death was also used equally with the life of sinful fellow. So you can understand. Let's just understand that these words are, you know, simple and at the same time deep and at the same time complex. So we shouldn't just, pick a single kind of statement and then just hold on to that, and then be using it to, judge every other thing. It's not just right in that sense.
Mm, that's weird.
So you said something about, why are there bad things going on in the world if there is God, if is, nice and all knowing and all true and stuff like that. So like you see, as I said, free will is a real thing. And like for instance, you as a very loving father, you don't restrict your children to what you tell them to do, isn't it?
I'm sorry, I couldn't understand. Yeah, there was a breakup there.
Like as a loving father, you cannot restrict your children to only the things you tell them to do, right?
I can't restrict them to only the things I tell them to do. What do you mean? I can't.
As a
That's what I
loving
do.
father,
That's what a dad does. That's my whole job.
like, do you
Don't do anything I don't tell you to
restrict
do. Especially when they're young. I mean,
yes, so like at a point things change. So now, like I said, the things of the spiritual are different from the physical. Now, if we also look at the story about the devil in heaven, imagine a angel as the Bible, prescribed that he was an angel, actually very close to the Almighty God, and then eventually he fell, he became proud, he just thought about something wrong. In the real sense, God did not create that pride in him. No, but because of his love for everything, it is you to choose what you will do. The rest of the angels in heaven right now can choose to go down the wrong path, but they can't. Not because they are restricted to the programming of God. No, it is because they chose to be with God. And they understand that when they fall eternally. they fought for life forever. So that's just how these things are. So every single thing, as the Bible explains, and as we know and as we understand, is that everything was, I mean, humans that have consciousness were given free will, the opportunity to choose whether to be good or to be bad. And as we have conscience, I mean, look at our minds, look at our brain, and how we think and how we reason. These things are just different from the way animals do. So, in a very significant way, we know what is right, we know what is wrong, but because of the fall of man and the apple they ate, as the Bible described, was the thing that caused problem in the nature of the perfection of man at the beginning. Like in the stories of Adam with God, then, as we know, God comes to earth to, stay and live, like, whereby Adam and God actually are like, fellow people together, like they're friends in a kind of significant way. But eventually, these people fell. So, I mean, things just have changed. It's not that, like we know, like the Bible placed it. God is the like author of holiness. So He Himself being only holy, it cannot be that compatible with death to with sin and stuff like that. So that's what I'm saying. Now coming back to prayers, like I said again, when we pray, when we are true to ourselves, just like a servant has to be to his king. I'm not saying we're slaves, but we just have to be humble, like sober and true to ourselves that we actually want to see the experience, want to experience this thing. Like personally, there are times where we pray and then sometimes doubts might come, of course, but at the same time you also have the power to actually chase those doubts away from the mind. I mean, these things are possible. So
Yes, you can convince
yes,
yourself of anything if you really try. But I'm not interested in
yes.
convincing myself of anything at all. I'm interested in finding out the truth. And it doesn't seem like you're able to provide me with a way of getting there. But I do appreciate your perspective. I really do appreciate your willingness to have this conversation. And I think that it has gone pretty well. I hope that I didn't interrupt you too much. I'm sorry for the issues with the technical difficulties and whatnot. But this was a good conversation. I enjoyed it. But I really don't think that there's anything there for as far as evidence for God whatsoever.
So
And the
like
arguments, there's things we've heard many times.
you don't
I do want to kind of wrap it up right now. So, yeah, if you want to just go ahead and make one more little statement, and then we can go ahead and get out of here.
okay, well, like what I was just pointing out is actually how this world is made up, the orderliness, the beauty, and the system of operation. Very significantly and well described. When we look at what life really is, it cannot actually come from nothing. Significantly and logically. I mean, they say the Big Bang. Fine, okay, okay. So, what caused that Big Bang? An answer can never be given, even in the future to come. We cannot even think of what caused the Big Bang. But in terms of logic, every single thing has a cause. Every single thing has a cause. Energy has to have the source itself. Life also has to have a source. And then we also look at the design, the pattern, the the system of how nature works. Like for instance, humans. If you look at our bodies, Look at the brain. Look at the eyes, the nose, the mouth, the ears, and all these things. They don't look like things that could actually just come up together and then benefit us. Like if you look at the brain, of course, it's all
Okay,
made
okay,
of
okay,
cells.
okay, okay. I'm sorry. I don't want to cut you off, but I don't want to go down a whole rabbit hole thing. And I understand that you're trying to make your point, but you no offense, but you are a bit long winded, sir. Sorry, but I just want to say that I understand where you're coming from with that, but the issue is that if anything can exist eternally, then you can't say that the Big Bang couldn't have happened from some eternal energy. You're saying that God existed eternally, and that's the cause of everything, right? So you are stipulating eternal reality, right? You're stimulating that is a thing that can happen. Eternality, right? If eternality can happen at all, you can't say that it definitely can't happen with energy. It definitely can't happen with potential. It definitely can't happen with an ever receding cosmic inflation from the negatives or whatever. There are all kinds of different answers that have been posited that we can't necessarily prove, but there are answers out there that could be the right one. And the idea that God can be the eternal answer to everything is just appealing to a bigger mystery. The question then becomes, what caused God, right? You say that he's eternal, but how did that happen? How does that even work? How can a mind exist eternally without any time, blah, 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 all this other stuff, right? It doesn't make any sense. Anyways, I do appreciate it, Manuel. Thank you so much for coming on. I hope we do have another chance to talk again, but I do want to wrap it up right now. So thank you so much. I'm going to go ahead and take you out of the room right now. So bye-bye. Thank you so much again. If you want to say goodbye to the audience real quick, go ahead. Just say bye.
So bye. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it. Okay. So thank you, Emmanuel, once again for coming by. I really do appreciate it. And thank you all for coming to join me in the chat. Shout out to Maya, Titan Uranus, GG, Purple Runs with Orange, and everybody else that was in the chat, Mephistopheles. And anybody who wants to get in touch with me, atheist@gmail.com. If you want to argue with me, if you think that you can beat me in a debate, whatever, I'm right here. I don't discriminate. The only thing I ask is that you not be a person who's attacking people that I know, right? So that's it. Okay. Other than that, thank you all so much once again. And remember, it's the bridges we build, not the bridges we burn, that give us the edge. Y'all have a great night. Bye.